Hey, Mr. Homestead.
Yes, sir.
Can I can't see all the participants. Can you help me?
The attendees. Under, if you click on participants, you should have two panels, one that's panelists and one that's attendees.
Okay. So I can see that, but I can't see the video. Is it because the?
Oh, their video will be turned on when we make them panelists.
Oh, okay.
So right now, all of the panelists are just the staff, and they all have their videos turned off. So as
Okay.
soon as we have the
They're
attendees
in
come,
the
the
meeting room.
videos will pop up everywhere,
They
and
can't.
it'll have the grid view and everything.
Okay, cool. That's all I need to know. Hello, everybody. Wave at you. Wave at me if you can hear me. All right, we're getting everybody set up here. Okay, well, how's the test going for everybody? So far, I'm very pleased with what I've seen. We've had a lot of groups in the school already. Currently have another group out there that we just bowed in. And I figured I'd give everybody kind of a chance to relax just a little bit. And so instead of doing a workout or doing something with me that's really physical, we're going to actually just be working our minds. Okay. Most of you have seen that I do a weekly mat chat, and some of you have been able to participate. In fact, I see a couple that have been to almost every single one of them, like the Blay family, the Fishers, Mr. Martine. A couple others of you have been in on a lot of the daily mat chats. And I figured, with the Black Belt Test weekend going on, this would be a perfect opportunity for us to tie it all together and really kind of make sure you understand the big picture of what being a black belt's about, being a winning black belt, because we talk about that all the time. We say it in our words of the belt: winning black belt, winning black belt. And so we're really just going to try to focus on that for the next almost 2 hours. So we're going to spend the next hour and 45 minutes going through the whole Psychology of Winning book. So for those of you that went week by week with me, you know that there was a lot of content in it, and it took us a number of weeks to get through it all. Okay, our goal is to get through the whole book in the next hour and 45 minutes. Okay, so we are going to be flying through this, and being that this is a webinar and we're inviting a lot of people to watch, I'm going to allow you to. I'm going to ask questions, and Mr. Olmsted is going to unmute you if you raise your hand. So to raise your hand, just simply do that if you want to chime in. For those of you that have participated in the mat chats, this is going to be good for you to share because you've already been through all of this once. Okay, so on that note, we're just going to jump right in. Okay, there's a quote here right at the beginning of the book that I enjoyed from Dr. Dennis Waitley. There are two primary choices in life: to accept conditions as they exist or accept the responsibility for changing them. And right now, I thought that quote was really pertinent because we're all facing different challenges with COVID going on and these new formats. We're doing it right now. We're in a virtual mat chat where normally we would be in a giant hotel room and we'd all be sweating together and working out together. This is different. So this is a new thing. Okay. Now we can either choose to be upset about them and just say I'm not going to be able to thrive in this, or we can say we can adapt, we can change, we can do things like we're adapting right now. And I'm really proud of all of you for adapting and making these changes in your training, staying with it with Prep Cycle, and then of course doing this Black Belt Test weekend. Okay, so this is a good opportunity for us to kind of reset our minds, reset our thinking. And at the end of each one of these chapters, I did have a homework assignment that I had everybody go through. Okay, and we're not going to go through all of those obviously as a homework assignment because we won't have time, but this is available online. Okay, the PowerPoint as well as all the videos that were broken down. So if there's one that you really like and you want to practice, I really encourage you to do these. And like I told everybody in the mat chats every week, I practice these as I went through them, and it really helped me personally too. Okay, so this is something I think that can benefit all of us as we get through. Okay, so we've created the Facebook group Daily Mat Chat. If you go to dailymatchat.com, you can find all of this material right there. Okay, so I really do encourage you, because this is the foundation of what our character development program is. Of course, we have all these other books that we go through, leadership. In fact, next week, I'm going to be doing 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and we're going to be diving into that one. And there's a lot of those leadership principles that we practice and we train and we learn. And this is really college level material, and we're going to kind of digest it down so that everybody can really understand and benefit from it. Okay, so every day, we went through this chapter and we kind of had these big ideas. We kind of talk about the big points in the book. Okay, of course, I don't go through every single piece of the book, but we have all the big ideas in there. And then we have some discussion times. Okay, so when I open it up for discussion, I do encourage you all to participate. And this is part of your black belt test, is I want to hear from you. Okay, and this is a chance for us to be open and honest. All right, so you can make yourselves comfortable. I am watching though. If you fall asleep, the whole fall asleep principle still works. Remember what happens if you fall asleep during a black belt test? You have to sing a song at the end, probably like I'm a Little Teapot or something like that. Will make you get up online on video and sing it. So keep yourself energized, keep your body posture engaged. Okay, so if you are lying on the couch, I don't want you lounging all the way back and falling asleep, because remember, your physiology can change your mind and keep you engaged. So everybody making sure that you have good posture and you're sitting up nice and okay. I do want you to relax though. Okay, so here we go. We're going to try to get through the whole thing. That took us a lot of sessions. It took us almost 12 weeks to get through, and we're going to get through that all real quick. As you know, all of our words of the belt derive from this book. Okay, Dr. Dennis Waitley's book, Psychology of Winning. We changed and transformed them into statements about being a winning black belt. Okay, and that's really what this whole seminar is going to be about, is what does it mean to be a winning black belt? There's all of these character traits, and when you put it all together, it makes you a better person. And that's the idea, is that we all are going to be working on these. Now, every one of us has areas of weakness, right? We might be weak in a certain area sometimes of our lives, and we might be weak in other areas, okay? And this is a chance for us to constantly be reminding ourselves that we can always get better, okay? Even when you get to black belt status, you will make mistakes, you'll slip in areas, but always having that attitude of I can and I am going to get better. And so that's kind of how he starts the book. He calls it the game of life. You are either the captive or the captain of your thoughts. Okay, and as a black belt, you should really think about that. You are either letting other people control your thoughts, and that could be media, it could be outside sources, people telling you negative things, that could be controlling your thoughts, or you can say, hey, you know what? I'm in charge. Okay, so you can resign yourself to mediocrity, or you can dare to dream of conquering outer space or doing amazing things in life. And that's really the premise of this part of this chapter, is that he really wants us to get in this mindset of we can accomplish anything we set our minds to. And that's the beginning of this. And you have to really believe that. And if you don't believe that, then you won't succeed in life. You have to believe you can do anything you set your mind for. Okay, so that's a big part. Now, as leaders and as black belt students, we want to do just that. We want to constantly be striving to do more, become more, and serve our community. That's the big part, serve our community. How can I help other people? There's a quote from Zig Ziglar that I really like. He says, if you help, you can get anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. Okay, and that's a very true statement as a leader. That's called servant leadership. So if you help enough other people get what they want in life, you can get it. Sorry, that was actually Tony Robbins, so not Zig Ziglar. So this declaration touches all of us without discrimination. The promise is the same for inquisitive youth, the ambitious man or woman, the nurturant mother, really anybody without exception. This governs. All right. So You guys might know who that is. That is Neil Armstrong. And if you know anything about Neil Armstrong, well, he set out to conquer something pretty big. He wanted to be the first astronaut, first man on the moon. Okay? And Neil Armstrong's vision began as an early child. In an interview immediately following his historic first step on the moon, he said, "Ever since I was a little boy, I dreamed that I would do something important in aviation." So this dream was planted in his head early on. And he also, like a lot of very successful or famous people that have accomplished something big, they have a belief. And that's where it has to start, is that I really believe that I can do this. Okay. And I opened this up, for everybody to say, I really want to do this. And I had people like Carter say, I want to open up my own pizza shop. He's a young boy. Okay. 9, 10 years old. And he's already saying, I am going to do this. And he believes so strongly in that. Now, if you were in those meetings with Mr. Carter Campbell, the Johnstown student, you would see his passion and his desire and dream was so strong that nobody on the call would doubt that he's going to be a successful pizza chef and open his own business, right? And that's what's really cool to see. So I encourage you to really go back and dive in, especially when things can be tough, and say, I really want this. This is something that I want to accomplish in life, okay? So psychology of winner takes on a new meaning. Since we can choose our attitude, that's our choice. Remember, nobody can determine your attitude but yourself. Let us expunge the negative connotations from the letters prisoner of war and assign them a new meaning. So basically, that was a POW or MIA. That's tied to prisoner of war, and he kind of switches that mindset of psychology of winning. Okay, the most important single point in the chapters to follow to remember and internalize is that it makes little difference what is actually happening. It's how you personally take it that really counts. So think about that right now. There's a lot of things happening out there in the world, right? There's things that are happening that are way out of your control. And you personally can choose how your attitude is. Okay? You can choose how to take. You could get mad, you could get upset, and I'm sure we all have had those feelings, okay? But you have to ask yourself, is that a winning black belt attitude? Is that going to serve me to get upset about this thing? Okay? And we all know the answer is no. Okay? So that is up to you, and that's what really matters. So he compares life to a game, except there are no timeouts, substitution, and guess what? The clock always runs. Okay? There's no timeouts. So that clock starts when you're born, and it goes all the way through your life, and you can't pause it, you can't time out, you have to just go through it. Okay? So some people still think life is like a practice game, but every moment is important. With the big play or the Super Bowl coming up at the end of the season, only after years have slipped away do they realize that we're involved in the big game every day of our life. Okay, and that starts now. That starts at you're at 6 years old, maybe. Okay, you might be 8. The game of life is now. It's not when you're an adult. You're forming foundations and principles of character right now that are going to make you the person that you're going to become. Okay, so the value of time is huge. You need to relish it, savor every moment, determine once and for all that you're going to play the game to win. There is no time to lose. Okay, there are 3 types of players in the game of life. Okay, there's the spectators. Those are the ones that just sit on the sideline and let everything go by, right? The majority of most people out there are spectators. They're who fear being rejected, ridiculed, hurt, defeated. They sit on the outside of the arena. They prefer not to make waves or get involved, or would rather watch it happen on television. Most of all, spectators in life fear winning. They fear winning. After all, winning carries the burden of responsibility, takes hard work, practice, all that stuff, and for setting a good example. That's too much of an effort for the most. Okay, so for most people, they're spectators for that reason. Okay, who are the other ones? Well, then there's the losers. Okay, now he's kind of this book was written, if you don't know, a long time ago. Okay, so there's some things in here that aren't really PC. So I apologize in advance. I'm not meaning to go out there and say that we should go around calling people losers. Okay, that's not the case. He's just saying There's losers, as in there's a large mass of humanity called losers. By losers, we don't refer to the millions of hungry and destitute throughout the world. The losers we are speaking of here are people in our abundant society, here in this country, who never win. For they would rather look like, dress like, have fun like, have a house like, act like, or be someone else. Okay? You can always spot losers by the way they envy or criticize others. They might even say stuff like, oh, they're just lucky, or they were just given that, or that's loser talk. Okay. And so at each one of these words, as we bring them up, there's winners talk and there's losers talk. And that's really what he's getting at. It's not supposed to be a mean derogatory term. Okay. But it is supposed to just say that's what people who aren't successful think like. Okay. So then there's the winners. Then they're the winners. These are the few who, in a very natural, free-flowing way, seem to get what they want from life. They put themselves together across the board at work, at home, in the community. They set and achieve goals and benefit themselves and others. The term winning may sound phony to you, too materialistic, too full of age, or luck, or odds, or muscle-bound athletes. Okay? True winning, however, is no more than one's own personal pursuit of individual excellence. You don't have to get lucky to win at life, nor do you have to knock other people down or gain at the expense of others. Winning is taking the talent or potential you were born with and have since developed and using it fully towards your goal or purpose that makes you happy. Okay. What do you think of when you think of winners? For me, I was programmed early on that winners spring out of adversity, coming from hardship. Okay, that's how I viewed it when I was a kid. That things really, if people are in an adverse condition, they're not really lucky, that they rise to the challenge. That was my program. Not to saying that that's right. That's just, I thought of how my upbringing was in adverse conditions. Okay, and in order for me to go to college and be successful and go on and start companies, I had to change how I was thinking. But I also I thought, hey, this is where it comes from. Okay. And so who's ever seen Ricky Bobby? What's Talladega Nights, right? Yeah, Talladega Nights, right? In that one, he has that quote: "If you ain't first, you're last." Okay. That was his programming, right? And that's a kind of a funny extreme case, but that's what his version of a winner is. If I'm second place, I'm not winning, right? And that's not always the right attitude, right? Attitude is the criterion for success. So your aptitude and your attitude is really what makes you a winner, all right? And so we'll start with that. So there, the 5 steps that control our success or failure. And the book that I went through before this was What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And in this book, we talked about how results happen. It starts with programming over here. Okay. And that programming comes from, who remembers, it comes from self-talk, right? How you're programmed. Now, it also comes from other outside sources. Okay. Who your parents might have said something to you along those lines. Okay. I made a generalized statement, and I said I caught myself misprogramming my son because I went into his room and it was dirty, and I said, "Your room is always a mess lately," and that was a negative programming statement. That was negative self-talk for him. And if I say it something like that, he's going to believe it. Okay, that's going to turn into a belief, and then that's going to affect his attitude. He'll be lazier and not excited and motivated to clean his room, and then it creates feelings like, "Wow, that's not good that my dad feels that way." And then it turns into actions where he's just not cleaning his room. Okay. So you can see how this chain reaction, we call it a ripple effect here, starts with programming. So in our martial arts classes, that in all the things that we do, we talk about how what we say on the mat, what we say during a test, all those positive thoughts are very important because that changes our programming, which changes our beliefs and our attitudes and our feelings and our actions and helps us get to what we want. All right. So attitude is the answer. In order to feel good and do good in the outer world, you need to get your head together with constructive thinking. There are 10 attitudinal qualities in this book. Okay. And we're going to be going through them in a very fast format. As you can see, I'm still flying. So I apologize if this is going to be quick, but I wanted to cram as much in an hour and 45 minutes as I can. Okay. And if you do need to use the restroom, you don't need to raise your hand or anything like that. You're in the comfort of your home. I just ask you return immediately and get right back into the mat chat. Okay. So let's get on with it. So we had some homework, and I said, I wanted you to think about winners differently in the game of life. Think about that one person that you would put on the pedestal of being a winner. Okay. So you're going to see as we go through this, I'm going to spend just a quick moment, but in the mat chat at the beginning of every chapter, he defines antonyms, synonyms, loser self-talk, winner self-talk, and proverb. And so he keeps the same format as we go through each one of the words of the belt. Okay. And so I'll have my junior instructors, some of my black belt leaders in this group, unmute and go through all of them. Okay. So we start off with positive self-awareness in the book. As you all know, that's not the first word of the belt. The first word of the belt is positive self-esteem. Okay. I switched the words around slightly to kind of follow the progression of our training, to follow the progression of our goal setting, to follow the progression of becoming a black belt. So it's slightly changed around in our belts, but positive self-awareness is where he starts. Okay. And this is something that we call, when you first walk in the building as a white belt, some of you can remember back when you were white belts and you walked in, you were really unaware. Okay. You were just excited. You're excited. You didn't realize all this that you would be going through. Who in here thought they would be doing a 3-day weekend black belt test and have to do hundreds of push-ups and get up at 6 a.m, go to the park and run and do all that? And that was what you were going to get yourself into when you started off as a white belt. Right? Probably not a lot of you. Probably not a lot of you would have joined if you knew that was all going to be the case, right? So we start with positive self-esteem. We want to build confidence that you're going to make it. You're going to be excited. You're going to make it through. And we'll become aware just a little bit later at gold belt. Okay. And so that's a moment of disillusionment sometimes for gold belts as they get to gold belt. They go, oh, wow, this is actually hard. It's no longer doing 6 techniques, reverse punch, front kick, back kick, and side kick. It has a lot more to it. Okay. So on this note, I'm going to start off with Mr. Martin. You get to be our first person to read through chapter 1, positive self-awareness, please.
Yes, sir. Positive self-awareness. Antonyms: dishonesty, insensitivity, or tunnel vision. Synonyms: self-honesty, empathy, and openness. Loser self-talk is the world is flat, and that is that. Winner self-talk, I understand where I am coming from. And the proverb is, oh, grace, me walk in another Indian's mouth.
Okay, and some of these proverbs, they're sayings from either old sayings or they might not be relatable. So it's okay if they're not completely relatable to you. And we'll talk a lot more about in as we unfold positive self-awareness. So thank you, sir. So winning black belts know who they are and where they're going. They understand themselves and their goals. And as that's our word of the belt, we're going to unpack it right now. I want everybody to really internalize our words of the belt. And that's the goal here, because as black belts, you really should understand, what does all this mean? Okay. So there's many pieces of self-awareness. These are the main pieces we're going to unpack right now. There's self-honesty, there's sensitive, there's learners, there's open-mindedness, there's moment of truth, there's mental toughness, there's empathetic, and there's adaptable. Those are the main pieces of self-awareness that we're going to talk about. So winners are more aware. They are well aware of how little they really know about anything in their world, and that they do know is shaded by their own hereditary and environment. This makes them eager to learn. They're very aware of the abundance available to them. Okay. And I think everybody in this call knows that there's so much out there. In black belt, we say is just the beginning. So for those of you that are just testing for your certified black belt, that we say is the beginning, because that's really where you kind of have built your foundation. You've built all the basics, and you've got to a point where now you can use those basics to further advance yourself. And we equate that to like graduating from high school. Okay, so you graduate from high school, you've basically learned how to learn. right? You've got some tools, you know all the basics, and you've got a good foundation to go on to college and further your education even more, okay? And that's very similar to how we look at it here. So winners on the first one, self-honesty. So winners can look in the mirror and see what lies behind their own eyes. You are a winner when you think, when what you think and how you feel and what you do are nearly consistent. Okay, so that all those pieces are consistent when you're really aware. All right, and that's that self-honesty, is that you really go, okay, wow, there is a lot more to that. Okay, winners are sensitive. They're more tuned in and turned on than others around them. So what do we mean by tuned in? They're very aware of all the things that are going on in their lives, both good and bad. Okay, they don't need external stimulants to make life a happening. They are turned on naturally. Losers become hardened, cold, and closed to new ideas and new opportunities. You all probably can see that people. Some people are just eager to get out there and grow. They're eager to learn, and they realize that. Okay, but they're also really sensitive to knowing that there's a lot out there. Okay, the next part he talks about in the book is just being open-minded. Winners are open. They see the many alternatives in any situation. They look at relative rather than absolute facts. So do you rely on your old programming, especially outside influence, things that maybe your parents said to you, or do you rely on your own self-talk, things that you said to yourself? Okay, but being open-minded is really important, especially nowadays, right? Okay, everybody has an opinion about something, but being self-aware doesn't mean that you have your own thoughts always and you think that's right. It's you realize that there's a lot more out there in the world. You're aware that there's different perspectives, and it's okay to have that. And so we talked about this recently in our last word of the month. We said we wanted to really focus on diversity. Okay, diversity is a big word that is important right now because there's a lot of diverse thoughts out there. Some people think wearing masks is stupid. Some people don't. Some people think this. Some people think that. And so I encouraged everybody when we were talking about diversity to replace what we called judgment, people judging other people for their opinions, with wonder. Okay, so everybody think about that for a second. Everybody say that to somebody in the room. Replace judgment with wonder. Okay, if you are self-aware, that's what you do. Okay, you look at things outside perspectives and other people's thoughts, and you accept that they have a different point of view. And then rather than judging them for those things, you wonder why they think that. That wonderment is a very powerful thing, because if you can employ that and go, well, why did they think that? Maybe I can learn more about that, because you know what? I might change my mind. I might become more aware that way. All right. And so that's, again, another important part of being self-aware. So positive self-awareness is accepting the fact that every human being is distinctly unique, individual, and thinking how good that is. It's a good thing that we have a lot of different views. I know right now it's making some people mad that there are different views. No two people are alike. So positive self-awareness is realizing that skin color, birthplace, religious beliefs, financial status, intelligence are not measures of worthy or worthiness. Okay, it is really that you should be aware and you should replace judgment with wonder. Okay, and we've talked again a lot about that as we talked about diversity this month in our mat chats. Okay, so on the next one, we're talking about accepting and empathetic. So that's a big word, empathetic. The ability to accept the fact that everyone is unique and to be able to understand another person's point of view, as if you were that person, is really the definition of empathy. Okay, so which is feeling with somebody. Okay, it's feeling with somebody. So in order to feel with somebody, you first have to be open-minded. You have to understand, hey, I need to wonder more about them. Okay, but then I say, wow, I guess I can see how they feel that way. Okay, and that's showing empathy. Empathy is watching a marathon runner and having your legs hurt. Okay, so if you watch somebody, a lot of you guys were running this morning, and I was, I've done this many times. I didn't have to get up at 6 o'clock and go run and do things in the park, but you guys made me tired. watching it, because you know why? I'm empathetic. I've seen it. I can feel it. I can feel your pain. Okay. And that's good. So that's showing empathy. So ask yourselves, how would I like to have a mother like me, or a father like me? How would I like to have a manager that treats me this way, or an employee that treats me this way? Sometimes we try to impose our feelings, likes, or passions on others. And as brothers and sisters, what can we do to be more empathetic and aware? So as you can see, when we get to our homework assignment, that was what I assigned everybody, is to put yourself in somebody else's shoes for a day and feel what they feel and think what they think, and try to think, wow, how would they view me from the outside? Okay. Because if you're aware like that, you can make changes. You can change your programming and your beliefs. All right. So that again is what winning black belts do. So winners develop mental toughness. That's the next part. Why do you think we put you through 3 days of crazy black belt testing over and over? We're trying to develop mental toughness as young kids. Okay. And I will tell you for sure, without a shadow of doubt in my mind, that makes you a stronger adult. Okay. When I went through, before I even went to college, I went through probably 7 or 8 black belt tests. Okay. Big ones, weekend ones. Okay. And by the time I got to college and I had to do very hard things, and I was working 60 hours a week and full-time schedule in school and all these other things, it wasn't that hard on me mentally, because I had gone through things. I toughened myself up. And so that is what mental toughness, we commonly refer to that as strength of character. Losers in life overreact to what is happening. They cave. Okay. They cave. Like when things started happening with COVID, did you cave, or did you rise to the challenge? You say, I've got this. Or when your teacher said, well, now you're going to have to stay home, you're going to have to go online. Okay. Did you get upset? Did you get mad? Or did you say, this is going to be awesome. I've got this. I'm going to get through the rest of the school year. I'm going to thrive. Okay. And that's really what that mental toughness is about. And we're hoping to do that. That's why we do these black belt test weekends. It is not because Mr. Worth or Mr. Hunter or any of the black belts like to subject you to a lot of harsh treatment and punish you, and you know, it's not like they're sitting back in the background. Well, maybe some of them, but you know, sitting in the background going, I can't wait to make them feel that pain, and to no. They know what the drill is. They know that this is going to help your awareness and your toughness, your mental toughness. Okay, so we welcome challenges and we look forward to conquering tasks. When things get hard, we say, we've got this. This is going to be fun. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to grow from this, and we're going to be better black belts for it. Okay, and that's really what that other piece is about. Okay, and then there's this moment of truth. By anticipating the probable action of others through empathy and by remaining open and flexible, we will have others to. We won't allow others to ruin our lives. Okay, we won't allow others to rain on our parades. Everybody knows that there's people out there that they almost thrive on that. They think that that's part of it. They want to make you miserable, right? But you know that moment of truth is where you don't let that happen. We're adaptable, right? And like I was saying, the moment of truth is that every winner experiences this, and first and foremost, it's the most important step in self-development, is understanding how much potential and abundance you really have. Every one of you have limitless potential, all right? And you should believe that. So that was it for positive self-awareness. We got through 1. We got 9 more to go, all right? So let's continue on. So think about others, look at you objectively. Look at yourself. Okay. So this weekend, I want you to think about that. I want you to think, how do my teammates look at me? Do they think I'm a team player? Do I help out? Do I encourage? How does my mom look at me during this process? Am I helpful? Am I cleaning up my room? Am I doing things? Am I showing a good, respectful attitude? Okay. Think about maybe your instructors. What are my instructors thinking about me right now? Do they think that I'm really giving it my all in every way? Okay. Imagine what they would say about you if they had to get up in front of a group of people right now. What would your mom say if I said, I want you to get up right now and tell me about Mr. Martin. Tell me about him. Okay. And if you view yourself that way, it changes. That's the start. All right. So think about your sisters, your brothers, your moms, your dads, your spouses. What could you do for them today that would show empathy? How can you show empathy towards somebody else? You say, I noticed this. I noticed that you were struggling with this. And I can imagine how that makes you feel. I'm going to do something about that. How can maybe it's just listening, talking to them. Okay. And we get into that in some of these other later words of the belt. Okay, so that was the homework for that week. But again, we're diving through this really fast, and I just want you thinking about this as the weekend progresses. Okay, so we go on to the next one, the word of the belt for white belt, which is positive self-esteem. Who would like to volunteer to read this for me? How about a junior instructor, or actually, Mr. Bays, I see you raising your hand there. Why don't you get up and unmute yourself and read this for us?
Yes, sir. Chapter 2, Positive Self-Esteem. Antonyms: self-deprecation, self-doubt, self-consciousness. Synonyms: self-worth, self-respect, and self-confidence. Losers' self-talk. I'd rather be someone else. Winners' self-talk. I like myself. Proverb: if you love yourself, then you can give love. How can you give what you don't have?
Very good. Now, as you guys read this, thank you for reading that. Nice job. So if you have self-depreciation, meaning that you devalue yourself, okay, you don't really appreciate yourself, okay, then that is not a black belt attitude. And as we go through all these words of the belt, I really want you to think about what that winning black belt looks like. Okay, and maybe it's a picture of Mr. Wagner in your head, or maybe it's another leader or black belt student in the schools. Okay, and I want you to think about, as I'm doing this black belt test, you're all tested on these things. Okay, I'm testing every single one of you on your self-esteem. Okay, I'm testing you on your self-awareness in a lot of different ways, and so are our black belt leaders. Okay, and that's what we want to see throughout this weekend as we challenge you and put you through a very vigorous test. Is we're looking, can I still show positive self-esteem as I'm pushing myself? Okay, showing that self-respect and self-confidence. Okay, so positive self-esteem. Winning black belts have a feeling of self-worth and confidence. Winners develop a feeling of self-acceptance and respect. Okay, when we examine losers and low achievers, an attitude of low self-esteem always seems to be the root of their problems. Okay, and that's why we start so heavily at white belt and saying we need to build a strong self-esteem. How do we do that at white belt? We get you up in front. We get you to accomplish things, get stripes, get your first belt, show things off. Now, it's not meant to be hard. Okay, it's meant to be easy, but inch by inch, it's a cinch. And that's what we say. We say if you set a goal and you achieve it, you start to feel better about yourself. And it's got to start small. And then by the time you get to black belt test weekend, you set this monster goal. You've worked for thousands of hours to get to the point where you're at. You have that confidence that I've got this. Okay? Can everybody say that you've got this weekend? This is cakewalk. You've been going through that. That's what you should feel right now. And we should see that. Now, is it okay to be nervous? Is it okay to get upset because you might have made a mistake or something like that? It happens, okay? And what you can do is learn how to replace that. And the more you do it, the more black belt tests you go through, the more you become mentally tough. That becomes easier for you, okay? So what does a winning self-esteem look like? Esteem, to appreciate the value of, okay? I like cars, and that is the first picture that pops up in my mind, but it's materialistic. Okay, so there is a growing tendency today among individuals to display an array of expensive possessions and outward trappings of affluence. Okay, this concentration on status symbols is more likely to say to others that the owner is lacking self-esteem rather than they are rich. Okay, the word esteem literally means to appreciate the value of. So do you appreciate yourself? Do you appreciate all that you've done and accomplished to get to the point where you're at? You all should be very much nodding your head that I appreciate that. Okay, I've worked hard to get there. It was me that did that. All right. So self-confidence, what does it look like? Okay. I love pictures in the schools on board breaks because a lot of times it exuberant confidence is just like overflowing when somebody breaks a board. Okay. Confidence is built upon the experience of success. So anytime you succeed in something, well, you become more confident. So when you begin anything new, we usually have a little bit of confidence. When you first started karate, you probably had a little confidence that you were going to be able to be successful in it. You're probably nervous. That's okay. So anytime you start something new, that's a very natural thing. Okay. It is true that success breeds success. When you're successful in one thing, guess what? You start to become successful more. And that's really what the martial arts is about, is we want you to learn that success is a perpetual momentum building device, that you can start being successful in one area and guess what? It ripple effects into other areas of your life. Winners focus on past successes and forget about past failures. So where you focus your energy is important. They use errors and mistakes as a way to learn. And they dismiss them from their minds, and yet there's still what many do. We destroy our self-confidence by remembering past failures. If that's what you focus on is, oh man, I failed that test years ago, well, that's not going to help you through this black belt test weekend. That's not going to give you any kind of confidence. Okay. We not only remember failures, but we teach them in our minds with emotion. Okay. And that's an important part too. So it's established true self-esteem. We must concentrate on our successes and look at the failures. So right now, I want everybody to do that. I want you to take inventory. As you've been training for the years, I want you to think about some of your past accomplishments. Maybe it was a belt test that you really struggled with. Maybe it was a board break that you struggled and you finally broke. Maybe it was an injury. Maybe you jumped up and you fell and you hurt and you associated that and you thought you failed. Okay, there's a lot of things that you could focus on, but what I want you to think about is how you turn that around. I want you to focus on how you succeeded. You're all here for a reason right now. You've overcome things. You've overcome hard belt tests. You've been challenged in different ways. Some of you, it's injuries, it's medical challenges. Some of you, it's time. Some of you, it's been money. Some of you, it's been different challenges that have been in your way, but you've overcome it. You're here right now. So that's what you focus on. That's the part that builds that esteem. And I appreciate really that I'm here right now. You should all feel that appreciation and self-worth. Okay. So that's the next part is that self-acceptance and respect. So although we always seek an improvement, the winner with positive self-esteem can accept themselves just as they are right at this moment. Every one of us is not perfect right now. We all have a lot of areas of growth opportunities. Okay, we with positive self-awareness, we're aware of that. We all know we have endless potential. Right? And right now, it's okay to accept right now where you're at. Okay, and when we say accept it as a moment. I am accepting this right now, that I'm okay right now. Not that I don't want to get better. Okay, because we talked about that with positive self-awareness. All right, so there's, and this is the 5 to thrive. So look, walk, talk, and sit your best. That's one way to build self-esteem. Okay, so I'm giving you 5 quick ways to always build self-esteem. And you've all should have learned this way back at White Belt. We teach this in our White Belt class. We say to introduce yourself properly to people. That says a lot about your self-esteem, is how you go up to somebody and you introduce yourself. Okay, and you look them in the eyes and you show confidence. Okay, we write down your bag daily. What was a bag? So bag is blessings, accomplishments, and goals. Okay, and you think about that. I call this my shower talk because instead of writing it down, I think about it every day when I'm in the shower. I go, what are my blessings? Right? What did I accomplish yesterday that I'm proud of? And what are my goals for today? If you have that attitude every day, if you say every morning, and I'm going to get in the shower or write down a bag, okay? I'm going to just go write down what something that you are blessed with. I'm so blessed right now that I have a roof over my head, my family support, my mom's here helping me get through the black belt test. Okay, that could be your bag for today. What are your accomplishments? I made it through the formal portion of my conditional testing here in the school. I know two groups of conditionals have already gone through it, and we have a third group going on actively right now as I'm speaking. Okay, so those accomplishments, what are they? Think about it every day when you wake up. That builds that self-esteem. And then, of course, the next one is, what are my goals? What am I going to accomplish today? Right? And that is really the foundation of having that good positive self-esteem and having self-worth is how we do that. And then, of course, accept compliments and love and respect others. All right, we're cruising. We got 2 down. We got 8 more to go. So we said your homework was to write down bags for 7 straight days. That was when we were doing that weekly challenge. And then I said, find one person every day to go over and give a compliment to. Make it count. Okay, so give a compliment to somebody. I want everybody to look around in your room, in whoever's in your house right now or in your room. If it's your cat, because nobody else is around, then tell your cat something nice. Okay, I want you to look at somebody and say something, a really nice, genuine compliment. Excellent. Okay, well, then let's go on to chapter 3. Mr. Zeke, I'm going to have you unmute and go ahead and read this for us, please.
Chapter 3, Positive Self-Control. Antonyms are irresponsibility, indecision, chance. Synonyms are self-determination, volition, using one's will, choice. Loser's self-talk, it always happens to me. Winner's self-talk, I make it happen for me. The proverb is, life is a do-it-myself project. I take the credit or the blame for my own performance.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Okay, so as we dive into this one, when you think of self-control, what do you think of? You think of like this girl here. It's got a little cupcake in front of her, and she's like, I really should take that, but I probably can't have it or something. Can I control myself and not grab that? Is that what you think of? What do you think of, Mr. Bays? So thank you for raising your hand.
The marshmallow experiment, where if you wait and don't eat a marshmallow for like 5 minutes, then you can get a second marshmallow.
Okay, so back to a psychology experiment of if you can wait. Okay, so good. And I know everybody thinks of control a little bit differently. All right, so yes, Mr. Martin.
I kind of think of like a drone control or remote control.
Oh, okay, very good. Awesome. Everybody can hang on 1 second. I'm just going to ask that they turn the music down just slightly here.
Mr. Zeke, that is very impressive. You can do that sitting down, sir.
What's that?
Mr. Zeke was performing next to this by sitting down, sir.
Oh yeah, we should have a quick break. I want to see everybody do Exodus right now, as you can hear the music now. Just kidding. You've already most of you conditions have already been tested on it. So as you guys probably experienced, for those of you that did come in for the test, I did Exodus with the Grandmaster Ree's version, and actually has his explanation of the form and his narration of his script. So it's really cool. So if you haven't been into the school to test on that, I'm looking forward to you guys getting in here and do that. Okay, so as we go on here, so children do begin to take control of their lives at an early age. Believe it or not, when you're 1 or 2, you're taking control. How are they taking control? Somebody give me an example of a 1 or 2-year-old taking control. Let's see here. Mrs. Rain, go ahead. I unmuted you, I think.
When they beg for food or something like that.
Okay. Mr. Mertz, he refers to it as begging for food like a dog, but I think when they're whining or they get they throw a tantrum, all that stuff, they know the response. Okay, if I do this, I get that. Okay, so early on, children learn that, right? So they start to begin to take control of their life very early on. Many children know how to control their parents' lives as well, long before they know how to walk or talk. They know how to control their parents' lives. All right. And so that's not really the self-control that we're talking about, though. All right. What we are talking about is winning black belts accept 100% responsibility for the outcomes in their own life. Winner takes the credit and the blame for their own performances. Okay, when I think of control, and like I said, everybody thinks of things differently. When I think of control, I think of sparring. I love sparring. That's my favorite part of martial arts, right? And so in sparring, it takes a lot of control. You have to control your physical body by not hurting other people. You have to control your emotions by not getting mad, by not getting upset. Okay, so sparring is a great practice mechanism for us to develop self-control. Okay, we don't let white belts start sparring. Okay, we allow our students to start sparring once they've exhibited leadership and positive self-control. That's the number one key, is do we think that they're going to be safe for themselves and other people? Are they going to have a good attitude about it? Are they going to get frustrated? Okay, and that's that first part of determining when we spar. So sometimes people understand the true meaning of self-control as getting a good grip on yourself or remaining cool and passive under pressure. As it relates to psychology winning in this book, though, it really is synonymous with self-determination. I am self-determined. That's really what we're talking about. Okay, so those people who feel that life is mostly determined by circumstances, predestination, or being at the right place at the right time, or more likely to give in to doubt and fear. But people who are aware that they exert control over what happens to them in life, and typically they're happier. They're able to choose more appropriate responses to whatever occurs. People who feel that they have to do things usually forfeit many available options and alternatives. When you hear people say, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to do my black belt test this weekend. Okay, that's not a winning black belt attitude. Okay, and if I would hear anybody say something like that, I would immediately correct it, because that is not the black belt attitude. Okay, so people who feel that they have to do things, they usually forfeit many available options and alternatives and lose control of their lives in the bargain of life. Okay, their responsible self-control is the path to mental health and frequently to physical health as well. So treatment for individuals suffering from mental deterioration includes showing them that they need not be hung up on the past, but are responsible for their present actions as well as their future behavior. So they learn, they have to be taught to leave things in the past and focus on the future, the things that they can control. Can't control what happened over here. Okay, they can only control what's in front of them right now. And that's exactly, everybody's in this position right now. You are in control of your black belt test weekend. If you made a mistake yesterday, you're in complete control of how the outcome of your test is going to go. All right? So that's having that true positive self-control. Self-responsibility. Without individual self-control and responsibility, there can be no enduring liberty or freedom in our society. This is a quote that Dr. Dennis Whately has in the book, and I really like it because it's definitely pertinent to our situation right now with all of the stuff that's going on there. Okay, I do feel like there's a lot of people in our society that are losing self-control, and that has a lot to do with responsibility. So without individual self-control and responsibility, there can be no enduring liberty or freedom in our society. Okay, and not to get political or on anything, but that's really, I think, a powerful statement to reflect on in as far as self-responsibility. Okay, winners take the credit and blame. So write down one area you would take responsibility and you're not performing well in. Okay, anything in your life. I might be not performing like I should as a father, or maybe it's I'm not doing this as a good brother, or my parents, I could probably be more responsible for some things around the house to make it easier on my parents. Okay, and then we said action TNT, take action today, not tomorrow. He's big on action right away. Most people have great ideas and concepts and they think, oh, this would be nice, and they write them down or anything like that, but then they don't actually take action. So take action today, not tomorrow. Write down one thing that you've been putting off and set a goal and action to get it done this week, starting today. Okay, and I said that was and it was really cool when I got the feedback from everybody that was in the match chat. We saw some people do some amazing things that they had put off for years, and all of a sudden they jumped on it that day and they fixed it. Okay, take action today, not tomorrow. Awesome. So positive self-motivation. That is on the next one. We're cruising. We're almost halfway done, and look at that. We're going to get through the whole book in an hour and 45 minutes. It's going to be the fastest book review you guys have ever done, right? Okay, so positive self-motivation. Who would like to read this one? Okay, Mr. Luke, I see you raising your hand. I'll let you give it a shot. Unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Chapter 4, Positive Self-Motivation. Antonyms is fear, compulsion, inhibition. And then synonyms is desire for change, excitation, and urge. Loser self-talk. I have to, I can't. Winner self-talk. I want to, I can. Proverb. Winners dwell on their desires, not their limitations.
Very good, and thank you, sir. You did a great job reading that. So, as we talk about motivation, this is a big one because the book that we read prior to this, Positive Self-Talk, what to say when you talk to yourself, is very important in developing self-motivation. So winners have desire. They are dissatisfied with the status quo. Okay, so that is what everybody else is doing. Okay, I don't like what everybody else is doing. I'm motivated to be different and to change, be better. Okay, they want change for the better. There never was a winner who didn't want to win, right? Many people have the mistaken idea that personal motivation is an option, which can be left or taken out alone. It can't, okay? But everything an individual does, whether positive or negative, intentional or unintentional, is the result of motivation. Motivation is a over-franchised, over-promoted, and misunderstood term. Okay? People think they can just get motivated by going to a positive talk stop. Okay, so good. And as we go through positive self-motivation, the word of the belt, winning black belts dwell on the rewards of success, not on the penalties of failure. Winners move in the direction with the goals with purpose. So defined as a strong tendency toward or away from an object or situation, it can be learned and developed. So we tell our parents this a lot, okay? Positive self-motivation is a learned trait. It's nothing you're born with. You might see people and think, well, they're just naturally motivated. It's not true, okay? Some people might have signs of it or have different upbringing and they have different self-programming from parents that help them develop self-motivation, but it's a learned behavior and it's a learned character trait, okay? So motivation is an emotional state. The great physical and mental motivators in life are, number one is survival. Okay? That's the number one motivator right now. That's an external motivator, right? I have to survive. Okay, hunger is another motivator. Who's hungry right now? You guys just got off lunch breaks. So you shouldn't be hungry. Okay, so that's a great motivator. Thirst is also one. Here's some other bad ones though. Revenge is a motivator. Love is a motivator. And all of those are charged with emotion. So two of the key emotions that dominate human motivation with opposite but equally effective results are fear and desire. That's it. Okay, that's basically what motivation boils down to. I'm either afraid of something, so I'm going to do something, or I really, really, really want something, so I'm going to do something for it. Okay, it boils down to just those two things, right? So which is it? Which one do you employ more? Do you employ the fear of failing that gets you up in the morning and motivates you to do something? Or do you have a strong desire to make improvements? Okay, and that's really what motivation is all about. And what winners do is they see risk as opportunity. So fear and desire is what we were just talking about, but winners see risk as opportunity in things. Okay, so if I take this risk, there's an opportunity there. There's a reward. Okay. They see the rewards of success in advance before they even jump in and do it. That's how you get motivated. You have to be able to see ahead. You have to be like a fortune teller. You have to go, well, you know what? If I take this risk, there's that opportunity on the other side. And if I really focus on that, that's going to get me motivated. All right. So success is almost totally dependent upon drive, focus, and persistence. Okay. And your black belt training, as you've been developing over the last 4 years, I know you're all successful because of your drive. Sometimes it takes external motivators. Okay. Why is this the blue belt word of the belt? Because, well, at white belt and at gold belt, it was probably your mom saying, oh, it's time to go to karate. You got to get up, you got to get going. Okay. And then maybe by the time you got to orange belt, you started to take a little bit more control and you started to do those things. And then by the time you got to green belt, by the time you're a blue or high blue belt, we expect that you be the driver. You're being the one that's motivating yourself, not your instructors, not your mom. Okay. Now I know we all struggle as kids and even adults. Okay. If you asked your parents, have you been motivated to go to work every day of your life? I'll guarantee you that they probably had a day where they didn't get motivated to go to work. Okay. And learning how to be better at that is what makes you successful in life. So motivation is such a key ingredient. It's not the most important ingredient, but it's one of the main key ingredients for success in life. All right. So fear is the most powerful negative motivator. It is the great compeller and the great inhibitor. It restricts, tightens, panics, forces, and ultimately scuttles plans and defeats goals. Okay, so desire, conversely, is a strong positive magnet. It attracts, reaches, opens, directs, and encourages plans and achieves goals. Fear looks to the past. Desire looks to the future. Okay, so if you focus and resonate on the past things, those are the things that are going to create fear. Right? And we've already established that in self-control, the last word of the belt we were talking about, you don't have control over that past. What you have control over is what's right now and in the future. Okay. So fear looks to the past where desire looks to the future. So winners see that risk as an opportunity. They do not fear the penalties of failure. Desire sparks activity. Okay. So once you develop that spark, that activity, which burns up excess adrenaline in the system, keeps the mind busy, and the hope of achievement alive. Okay. Success is almost totally dependent upon that drive, focus, and persistence, like we said. Okay. So who's ever heard the saying, like, showing up is half the battle? Right? You've heard that? Like they say when you get to the gym, a lot of gyms will have that sign on the front door, like, you got through the door, you're here, now the rest is easy. Right? That's part of motivation. Right? If you can take that step and move in that direction with confidence, the motivation starts that momentum. Okay. The actual word itself, as we talk about motivation, is just that. Motivation is a Latin word that basically means to move. Okay. To move. You can't get motivated by sitting on the couch and saying, I want to get excited. I want to get excited. Okay. Desire starts the spark, but movement creates the motivation. All right. And that's how we as black belts think, is that showing up is half the battle, but just moving in that direction with purpose is huge. Okay. So we said, make a list of the 3 most important desires you want, put them down, and think about the benefit or the payoff when you achieve that goal. I know all of you right now have one big goal in mind, and that's making it through this weekend. Have you really thought about what it's going to feel like on Sunday, which is only tomorrow? You're almost there. It's tomorrow when you go to that belt promotion parade and I tie that black belt on you. Okay? You feel that? Everybody feel that excitement and desire? That's what you should be focusing on. That's what's going to drive you through the rest of the weekend as you're getting tired. Focus on those positives. Okay, we're jumping into chapter 5, positive self-expectancy. So, who wants to read this one? Mr. Aiden, why don't you read it, Mr. Murray?
Yes, sir. And Tom's?
Oh, Aiden, I'm sorry. I meant the other Aiden. I meant Mr. Martin's.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And so chapter 5, positive self-expectancy. Antonyms: pessimism, cynicism, and despair. Synonyms: optimism, enthusiasm, and hope. And loser self-talk: with my luck, I knew I would fail. Winner self-talk: good today, better tomorrow. Next time I'll get it right. Proverb: that which you fear or expect most will surely come to pass. The body manifests what the mind harbors.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Okay, so this, and everybody will probably have a word of the belt that resonates with them or is their favorite. And positive self-expectancy is one of those for me. Okay? Every winner can be identified easily because of his or her positive self-expectancy. Winners expect to win. It's not even a question. Losing is not an option, is a common thing they say, right? Okay, so winners expect to win. They know that so-called luck is the intersection of preparation and awareness. The single most outwardly identifiable trait demonstrated by a winning human being is that positive self-expectation. Okay, so which is pure and simple optimism. Being optimistic is really what this is about. Okay, do you expect to pass your test this weekend? Without a doubt. Okay, and if you're having those questions, that's something you can correct by learning in this chapter. Okay, so positive self-expectancy. Winning black belts learn to have an overall feeling of optimism and enthusiasm. Winners expect the best in order to achieve their best. So winners expect to win for basically 3 reasons. We already said desire. That's that motivation. They want to win. Self-control. They know it is they who make it happen. It's up to them, nobody else. Okay? Mr. Wagner can teach you the basics and teach you how to do a form right. Mr. Worth can, drill you and make your technique better. Ultimately, it's up to you to put the work in. It's up to you to perform and have that positive optimism. And preparation. They know they are prepared to win. They're ready. They have learned winning habits. So if you've been practicing endlessly and you've been really preparing yourself for this test, doing all the things that you can, you should expect to win. You should expect to pass your test this weekend, right? So that is that big part, and that stems from those 3 things, okay? Winners expect to win, period. Simply this: mental obsessions have physical manifestations. So you may call it arrogance, I call it confidence, brought about by the habit of enthusiasm, optimism in action. Another quote I love from the book, okay? So he's saying, it doesn't mean that you're arrogant when you're going out there like, I'm a winner and I'm always going to win. That's not what we're talking about. But expecting to win is something that you must do. You must expect to win. You may call it arrogance, I call it confidence. So it's a habit of enthusiasm. So who can think about somebody who's just overly top optimistic? Like their parade can never get rained on, no matter what. They're always just overflowing with happy optimism. Who's that for you, Naomi? Speak a little louder. What was that? Mr. Musselman. He's always optimistically happy. Okay. Mr. Martin.
I have a friend at school who's just endlessly looks at the positive, even if it's like you just failed your grade. He's like, oh yay, I get to meet new people or something. So he's endlessly positive.
Hey, good. So somebody's rubbing off on you. Okay. Mr. Reed.
Myself, sir.
Okay. You're always happy. Nobody ever rains on your parade, huh? What if I said, guess what? We're going to finish early and everybody's going to do 1,000 push-ups right now. Go.
That would be tough, but I would keep a smile on my face and just keep going, because attitude is everything.
I love it. Good job, buddy. All right. So let's continue on with this. Optimism is like a forest fire. You can smell it for miles before you can see it burning. So optimism is like flypaper. You can't help getting stuck to it. And it's also very, it rubs off on people, right? When somebody's optimistic, it rubs off. And that's a big part of this test. And you guys are showing it by supporting each other and saying, you've got this, we've got this. I've been hearing a lot of that this weekend already. So conversely, people shy away from negative, pessimistic people, losers. Okay? They gravitate towards positive, self-assured, optimistic winners. So you don't want to be that person that is just pessimistic all the time. You want to be that optimistic winner, because that's what attracts other people. Winning individuals understand that bad luck is attracted by negative thinking, and that an attitude of optimistic expectancy is the surest way to create an upward cycle and attract the best of luck, okay? Most of the time. So, has anybody ever heard of the story? Actually, Anthony Robbins told this story. He was giving a speech on optimism and motivation and how you should expect to win. And he asked the audience, this lady's, what she really desired, first of all, and then whether or not she was optimistically going to win it. And you know what her thought was the lotto. I'm going to win the lotto. Okay. And this lady was so optimistic about it. And of course, that created actions, and it created her going out and getting investments to go buy lottery tickets and this and that. Well, guess what? She won I think it was the Florida lottery. I can't remember, but it was like the Florida lottery, and it was like $100 million, right? So she won a lot of money, right? And then guess what? She went back to his seminar and she told the story, and he was like, wow, I've been preaching this stuff for all these years, and I believe it, but now actually seeing somebody who did it is really cool. Now, guess what? This lady was so optimistic about winning the lottery, she did it again. She goes, I'm going to win the lottery again. Okay. And she won out. I think she's one of the only persons that's won the lotto twice, but it started with this optimism. She was so optimistically like, I'm not going to fail. I'm going to win the lotto. It wasn't even a question. Okay. And most of us might think of that as like, that's crazy luck, right? That's just nuts. But if you have that optimism, it's going to attract the best of luck. Okay. And most of the time, that's what comes your way. And so it has to start with that optimism. All right. So again, like what I was saying, this is one of my favorite ones. So we talked about rewriting the script. Think about problems as opportunities. Think of one major pressing problem that you have or it has been keeping you from reaching a goal or personal fulfillment. Write down 1 or 2 sentence definition of the problem. Now rewrite the definition, rewrite the script. So if you have a challenge right now and you word it that way to yourself, you can change the positive script. You can say, hey, this is an opportunity. There's opportunity in every challenge. Okay, and that's the optimism that you should have. You should think about all problems as opportunities. And that's what somebody with positive self-expectancy does. Okay, and we're going on to chapter 6, cruising along, positive self-image. Who would like to read this one? We're getting close. You guys are doing great. Actually, you know what? We're past the halfway mark, so I need everybody to do something for me. Everybody stand up and get out of your chair. We're going to get out of our chairs. And I want everybody to take your arms and just go ahead and start moving them back and forth. Don't whack anybody next to you. Good. And I want you guys to start clapping with me. And we're just going to get some quick clapping. Follow my beat. There's somebody in the room. High 10. Say, we've got this. Give them some high 10s. Nice job, everybody. 10 jumping jacks and go. 10 jumping jacks. Let's see your jumping jacks. I'm watching. Get your jumping jacks going. Everybody jog in place. Get jog in place. Get your legs moving, move around. I know a 2-hour seminar online is a little bit challenging, but you guys are doing a great job staying motivated and keeping awake. Okay, everybody go ahead and get comfy again. Have a seat. Okay, we're going on to positive self-image. Who would like to read positive self-image? How about Miss Coco? Haven't heard from you yet.
Yes, sir. Chapter 6, Positive Self-Image. Antonyms. Dark imaginings, worries, neurosis. Synonyms. Synthetic experience, visualization, creativity. Loser's self-talk. I see me unattractive, average. Winner's self-talk. I see me changing, growing. Proverb. What you think you see is what you get.
Awesome. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. So we have some big words in there. What is neurosis? You may know. So neurosis is excessive or irrational anxiety. Somebody has a lot of anxiety or obsession about something, okay? Neuro actually means of nerves in Latin. So it's having a lot of nerves and having excessive irrational anxiety, okay? So somebody who doesn't have positive self-image is normally very anxious, okay? And that is one of the cures to it is developing a positive self-image. So winners act like winners, imagine with pictures, feelings, and words the roles they want to play. They give themselves a preview of coming attractions. So what you see is what you get. Who you feel is who you are. So we say winning black belts have developed a self-image which sees success, growth, especially growth, achievement, and winning as the most likely outcomes of any experience that they go through. Okay? So each of us from childhood weaves our own intricate web of self-images out of beliefs. A lot of that is like we've talked about from the last book. Okay, so response to every thought and experience, every humiliation, triumph, every loss, every win. Children's self-images are very pliable and susceptible to external guidance and criticism. So we have to be careful as parents. We have to be careful as brothers and sisters. This comes in the form of negative programming, which in turn becomes negative self-talk. Okay, we just learned about that negative self-programming. Okay, so Dr. Dennis Waitley discusses a highly publicized experiment done in the 1980s where a primary school teacher, upon her pupils, her students basically, she, with the approval from their parents, she told the class that recent scientific reports verified that children with blue eyes have greater natural learning abilities than children with brown eyes. So could you guys imagine this as a kid in school? Your teacher came up to you and said, "Hey, by the way, if you have blue eyes, well, you got a good thing going for you. You're going to be a natural learner. You're going to be more successful. All those things." Your teacher said that, and then conversely to you, if you had brown eyes, like I have brown eyes, and said, "Well, yeah, things aren't going to be as easy for you. You're going to have some learning challenges." Okay, and she said that. Now, she did this, and then not only that, but she printed up signs that said blue eyes, and she hung it all around their neck. So if they had blue eyes, she put blue eye sign on it, and then a brown eye. And so she did that. Now, after a week or so, the achievement level of the brown eye group fell measurably. So the brown eyes started to decrease in their learning, and then conversely, the blue eyes did. Now, then she went to reverse it. She went to all those students. She goes, "Oh no, I made a big mistake. Sorry, everybody. Those of you guys that I told you had blue eyes are going to be good learners, all that other stuff. Well, I had it backwards. Those are the brown eye guys and gals." And so she told them all that. And now guess what happened? The results flipped almost immediately. Same thing. Okay. So what does that have to deal with? As we develop positive self-image, that is tied directly to it. Okay. The judge and the robot he talks about in this. So that's your conscious versus your subconscious mind. So for the illustration, let's call the conscious level of thinking the judge. Okay. So the judge is the conscious level of thinking. The robot is the subconscious. So the relationship is what we want to talk about first. The first most important point in this relationship is the judge cannot make a decision until clearing it with the robot. Okay, so your conscious mind has to run everything by that robot, which is your subconscious mind. It has to process everything through that subconscious mind. The robot checks its memory banks. The robot checks its memory bank, which houses the all-important self-image, and instantaneously relays available data back to the judge based off past experiences, self-talk, programming, whatever that might be. Okay, it would seem natural that your judge would control your robot. So most of us think that the judge is in charge of the robot. The conscious mind is in charge of the subconscious. Okay, but that's actually not. It's a master-servant relationship. Incredibly, the reverse is true. The subconscious robot controls the conscious judge level of thinking. Action frequently takes place without consultation with the judge, but no action ever takes place without reference to the robot. So again, the conscious always has to run things by. So what does that mean for us? During every moment of every day, we program our robots to work for us or against us. So as we learned in the book, in positive self-talk, the level of self-talk is really where that starts. Okay. Now, has anybody caught themselves saying anything negative over the weekend? Any negative self-talk? It's okay, because we all do, right? I always forget my brown belt combinations, or I have so much trouble remembering this, or I am always messing up this form, or something like that. We all can say things like that. And it's important that we rewrite that script like we talked about in the last one, okay? So your best selfie, I talked a little bit about this. I kind of veered from the book a little bit because this is something that he didn't really have to deal with back in the day when he wrote this. Is they didn't have, I think, even know what a selfie was, right? So does taking selfies lower or increase your self-esteem and self-image, okay? Now, the studies have shown, I did some research in this, what is the result of taking a selfie when your sole purpose is to compete with your friends or followers for the sake of making yourself feel better? Do you think that is going to improve your self-image and self-esteem, or is it going to have a negative impact? Okay, it's going to have a negative impact. Everybody go like that. Yeah, it's going to have a negative impact. Now, how about when you just want to have fun and express your feelings about happiness? I'm very happy right now and I just want to get it out there without putting high value or validation from your peers. You don't really care what your friends say. You don't really care how many likes you get. Okay. Now, if you put a selfie up and you're like, wow, I got 86 likes now, and that's focusing on the wrong thing. So if you have the right motivation, doing these kinds of things is important, or can actually help your self-esteem in moderation. Again, in moderation is the key, right? So I wanted to bring this up because I think it's an important part of our society right now. With all the new things, I don't even know what there are, TikTok and all the other things that are out there. People are using these forms of social media to try to better their self-image, right? To try to better that self-esteem. Now, does that work? As we just showed with the research, that studies show that if you are taking it with the sole purpose to compete with your friends or trying to make yourself feel better, it doesn't work, okay? But if you are really truly just trying to show happiness and share and just have fun with it, it does actually improve your self-esteem and image. So it turns out that selfies can have a positive impact on your self-esteem. That is, if you approach taking and posting them with the right attitude. So attitude is everything, just like a couple of you already said, okay? So we said we wanted to sharpen up the expressions of our life. That was the homework that week. So we said we wanted you to take pictures of something that you really take stock in and you're proud of, okay? And brings you pleasure. That is something that would bring that self-image up. Then we also said if you take something that you want to conceptualize as you're going to improve it. Okay, some of you said I'm going to clean an area in my garage. So I said take a selfie of you the before and then the after, and then that's going to change your self-image of how you see yourself as being successful and accomplishing goals. Okay, so we're moving on. I got to keep us on track. We got 20 minutes to finish the book. We are going to be making a record here. Okay, so positive self-direction. Who wants to read this one? Somebody who hasn't yet. Who is that? Is that Oliver? Who's raising their hand over there? Come closer to the screen. Whoever that's raising their hand, I can't see who you are. Oh, there you are.
Positive self-direction, chapter 7. Antonyms. Aimless, non-specific wandering. Synonyms. Goal seeking, purpose oriented, cybernetic. Loser's self-talk. I can't decide. Winner's self-talk. I have a game plan. Proverb. No wind blows in favor of a ship without a destination.
Good job, Mr. Harrison. There's some big words in there. You did a great job reading that. So thank you, sir. So winners in life, those won in a 100 people is really what we're talking about here. 1% of people are set apart from the rest of humanity by one of the most important developed traits, positive self-direction. So they have a game plan for life and they know where they're going day by day, every day, right? Having that positive self-direction. Hey, look at that. Who's that? Some of you guys are in these pictures here. You recognize in yourself. Back when you guys were blue belts. So winning black belts have clearly defined goals and purposes, which are constantly referred to on a constant basis. Notice the emphasis on constant, constant, constant. Winners are role and goal driven and get what they set. Okay. We talked about having SMART goals and we talk about goal setting a lot. That has a lot to do with positive self-direction. Learning how to set and achieve goals is such a valuable trait that only studies have shown that only people that really know how to do it successfully with good direction is only about 3 to 5% of Americans. Okay. And so if you know this trait and you know how to set it, you set yourself really far apart from everybody else. So fulfillment or success has been defined as progressive realization of goals that are worthy of the individual realization of goals that are worthy of the individual. Okay. So the human homing system is what he talks about here in this next part of the book. So he says the human system is goal seeking by design. We're naturally goal seeking. We just got to tune that in. Okay. So basic analogy, it may be compared to a homing missile. So set your target on this self-activated system, constantly monitoring feedback systems. Maybe the wind changes a little bit. Well, these missiles got to change. They got to change correct their paths. Maybe the humidity changes, that they have to change. Maybe there's some turbulence they have to change. They're constantly course correcting, making every correction necessary to stay on target and score a hit. So programmed incompletely though, or if the directions aren't specific enough or aimed at a target way too far out of range, the homing missile will wander and erratically wander around until it falls or it runs out of fuel or self-destructs. Okay, so set a goal, and this self-motivated system constantly monitoring self-talk and environmental feedback about the goal, adjusting the self-image settings in its subconscious robot achievement mechanism, makes every decision necessary to reach the goal. So programmed with the vague and random thoughts or fixed on an unrealistic goal too far out, the human system will wander aimlessly around and it will basically wear itself out. You'll lose motivation and just not feel that purpose in life. Okay. So we want to have that strong, positive self-direction as we go through life. And the human necessity for purpose. So in the book, he references work done by Dr. Frankl. That was a survivor of the Holocaust. And if you don't know much about history and stuff, it was a really bad, dark time for us. There was a Nazi concentration camp, and he was in it. And perhaps more than any other authority on human behavior, he had firsthand knowledge of this because he went through it. He was in a concentration camp, and he saw some pretty crazy things. Okay, and his evaluations on destitute humans living with daily probability of death, there was a lot of people that died in this, and he saw that. And you can imagine if that's what you thought was going to happen, or your purpose, your motivation, your desire, your reactions, how you would change. He noticed that men and women were able to survive the trials of starvation and torture when they had a strong purpose for their existence. So those who had no reason for staying alive, they almost died quickly and easily. And so in these camps, inmates told Frankl that they no longer expected anything from life. He would point out to them that they had it backwards. Life was expecting something of them. That's a very powerful statement. So life expects something out of each of you, each of us. Okay? And life asks every individual for some sort of a contribution. And it is up to that individual to discover what it is and to do it. Okay? So what are you going to contribute? And I'm really excited here in a little bit. We're going to be learning from your leadership projects. That's part of your black belt journey, is I required you all to do a leadership project that shows that community service, that shows that life expects something of you. Okay? You need to contribute something to life. And what is that? And this is probably my favorite part of the test weekends, is seeing your projects and seeing what you've done in the communities. I'm very proud of every single one of you. I've seen your projects and your descriptions of what you've done, especially during this trying times, and being creative and doing extra things to make those things possible. Okay, that is that positive self-direction. Okay, life expects something of you, and you guys showed that purpose. So that is the human necessity for purpose. So where there is life, there is hope. Where there is hope, where there are hopes, there are dreams. Repeated, they become goals. Goals become action plans and game plans that winners dwell on in intricate detail. Know that achievement is almost automatic when the goal becomes an inner commitment. Okay, and then he talks about in the next section, a ship without a rudder. About 95% of humans are ships without rudders. Like I said, that learning to set and achieve goals, we take it for granted. We learn about it, we train on it, okay? But really 95% of people don't do that, okay? So winners know that the most important time frames are the groups of minutes every day. Most people waste most of their waking hours every day going through motions, chatting idly, shuffling papers, spending too much time on Facebook, putting off decisions, reacting, majoring in minors, and concentrating on trivia. They spend their time in low priority, tension relieving, rather than high priority goal achieving activities. Clearly defined goals are the secret to having positive self-direction. So focus on the major goal achieving activities. Okay. Now, this is a big part of this goal setting. This is a little bit more advanced goal setting. In a goal belt, we teach you the basics of know what you want, have a plan, take action, renew and review your goals. Okay. When you get a little bit more advanced as brown belts and black belts, we start teaching you that it's really important to focus on the wildly important. There's a lot of distractions out there. Okay. And to have good direction, we have to know that there is a whirlwind of stuff that exists, but we don't want to focus on it. The other thing is we only want to focus on 1 to 3 goals. Sometimes we set too many big priorities, lofty, crazy goals, and we have too many. The human mind really has there's this concept, the law of diminishing returns. What happens statistically when you focus on 10 things is that the chance of getting 2 of them drops to only 50%. So if I focus on 10 things, I only have a 50% chance of getting just 2 of them done. Now, if I focus on 3, the chance of all 3 of those things getting done is around 90%. So just statistically thinking about that concept, you know, I shouldn't be thinking about more than 3 things, okay? But if I think of these 3 things, I have a high success rate. So that's a big part of it, okay? Now, there's 2 terms in this set of goal setting and positive self-direction that I want everybody to know, and that's lead and lag measures. Lead measure is something that's predictable. And then the lag measure is really the goal, okay? So let's practice some goal setting. If I said, I want to lose 10 pounds, okay? That's my goal. That's my goal. And it's pretty specific, right? Okay? The only thing that needs to be said is by when, okay? X to Y by when, okay? So if I said I want to lose 10 pounds, is that specific? It's kind of specific. Now, if I said I want to lose 10 pounds by October 1st, now are we talking? Yeah, now we're talking specifics, okay? So what is the lag measure in this goal? The lag measure is the goal of losing 10 pounds by October, okay? What are some lead measures? Can somebody give me some lead measures that could support my lag measure goal of losing 10 pounds? Yes, Mr. Bays.
So something like I will exercise for 30 minutes, 4 days a week.
Perfect. Okay. So he just gave us a lead measure of I'm going to work out. Now notice how why and how what we say is important. So if I say I have to work out 30 minutes, 4 days a week, that's not positive self-talk. That's not saying like it's already happened. Say I'm going to work out 30 minutes, 4 days a week. Okay. That's a great lead measure. And then if I said, and I'm going to reduce my caloric intake by 25%, okay? I'm eating less food, basically. That's what that means, okay? And I'm going to take a walk with my dog. And then I'm going to do 20 push-ups. And I'm going to do 4 black belt classes. You can see how I get all these lead measures going. Now, does that make that goal more exciting? If I say, that, and then I focus on all these other little things, that makes that goal exciting. And that's that positive self-direction and motivation, okay? So JFK, John F. Kennedy, said that we were going to make it to the moon by the end of the decade. He said X to Y by when? And what did he do when he said that? Well, he drew a line in the sand. He said, I'm going to get here, okay? Jim Lovell said that Neil Armstrong would go down in history with Columbus. It wasn't a miracle that we went to the moon. We just decided we were going, okay? And I like that quote because it's saying that, you know, when you have that positive self-direction, it's when you draw that line in the sand, you say, I'm going to do this by this date, it happens, okay? So there's that one. We're almost done. We have positive self-discipline and then one more. So we're going to try to power through these last two. I set a goal to get through a whole book review in an hour and 45 minutes. We're almost there. So who can quickly read this one? Okay, Mr. Martin.
Chapter 8, Positive Self-Discipline. Antonyms are repetitive error, inconsistency, and discouragement. Synonyms are achievement, stimulation, drill, and practice. Loser's self-talk is, I have a habit of losing. Winner's self-talk is, I practice winning mentally within when I am without. And the proverb is, habits begin as harmless thoughts, like flimsy cobwebs. Then with practice become unbreakable cables to shackle or strengthen our lives.
Very nice. Thank you, sir. So good job. So winners practice self-discipline. Self-discipline in itself is practice. Okay. So all other winning qualities in this book are worthless without self-discipline. And this is why we started the Bow-In yesterday, is I talked a lot about self-discipline and what I've seen out of our students. And I couldn't be more proud as the master instructor in seeing how much self-discipline you've all exhibited because you've kept practicing. Okay, you could have chosen, well, I'll take a break. I don't want to do the online training. I don't want to practice. I don't, you know, I'll test another time. Okay, and it took a lot of courage and self-discipline for you to say, I'm going to continue to practice because I have positive self-discipline. Okay, so habits start as offhand remarks, magazine advertisement, friendly hints, experiments, and so we want to focus on that part of practice. Now, practice comes in a lot of different forms, okay? So let's talk about that. So self-discipline can make or break a habit, and it can alone affect permanent change in your self-image and in you. Self-discipline achieves goals. Many people define self-discipline as doing without. A better definition for self-discipline is doing within, okay? And I can see self-discipline. I can look at a picture and say, you know, Mr. Will Ferrier, he's got self-discipline because right now, the level of focus he's doing within, he is saying, I've got this, I know the plan, I've got an idea of how this is going to look in my head, and he's running that through his mind right now. He hasn't even struck the board, and I can look at that picture and say, he's going to break it. And he did. He broke through it, okay? But it took that level of self-discipline, okay? So not thinking about things as doing without, doing within. And discipline turn ability, potential, and potential into achievement, okay? So really, what is discipline? Some of us have a mental picture of that's discipline. You know, your mom yelling at you saying, don't do that, you can't do that, okay? Or you shouldn't be able to do that. That's doing without, okay? That is not discipline. When most people think of that discipline, they think more of disciplinary action or having to follow rules. As we think of positive self-discipline, it is following our own positive self-image rules and positive self-direction that we have charted a course for, okay? Now, what does it mean to mentally rehearse? Mentally rehearse is self-discipline. So Reader's Digest years ago did an awesome experiment where they took 3 groups of basketball players. And they took these 3 groups and they said, group one, you guys are going to spend 1 hour every day for a whole month, and you're just going to go out there and practice throwing free throws, okay? And all 3 of these groups started off with basically having a free throw percentage, making a baskets about 39%. So they made about 1 out of 3 baskets, okay? Now, they took this one group and they said, you're practicing 1 hour every day physically. They took another group and they said, you know what? Take the month off, no practice for you, all right? And then they took the third group and they said, you're gonna practice, but you're going to practice in your head. You're going to close your eyes, you're going to practice, and they gave them some mental coaching on how to practice visualizing what the free throw should look like. And they practice in their head for 1 hour every day. Now, as you guys can imagine, the group that didn't practice at all got worse. Okay, they actually dropped their percentage. Now, the group that practiced for 1 hour every day for a month, their percentage went from 39 to 41%. So they improved, they got better. As you guys could imagine, practicing for an hour a day would make you better. But here's the kicker is the group that didn't even pick up a basketball, they just practiced in their head, they improved from 39 to 42.5%, meaning that they had the best improvements. So winners stimulate winning. They practice as if as things are the challenge is at first hand. Okay, like Neil Armstrong, when he first took that step on the moon, he let us say it was beautiful. It was just like our drills. He had gone through that motion so many times that it was just now a drill. He went through it and it was beautiful. Okay, that's the level of practice we expect you to get in your black belt training from first to second degree. That's what we want you doing. Okay, so golfing grades do the same thing. A lot of times when they make a mistake, if you've ever watched the PGA Tour and people, this is not the picture of a professional golfer. Okay, when they miss a putt like that, you might see them go whoops, but most of the time they're so mentally disciplined because they're that successful that they take a step back and they rehearse it in their mind again, or they even try to do the stroke again. Okay, that's what should happen when we miss our shot in life. If we make a mistake or we do something like that, self-discipline is re-rehearsing it and doing it right in your head, mentally going back through. Okay, and so as you guys are going through this weekend and we finish up, I want you thinking about that. Practice, practice, practice. Okay, we are getting close to the end. We only have 2 more. We're going to power through and get done, and then I'll give you guys a break. Okay, so positive self-dimension, chapter 9. Who would like to read that one? Okay, Ms. Reed.
Chapter 9, Positive Self-Dimension. Antonyms: shallowness, egocentricity, superficiality. Synonyms: total person, visionary, humanist. Loser self-talk: do it to others before they do it to you. Winner self-talk: I'm in harmony with the nature and spirit of life, and I value you as a person and myself. Proverb: if I can help you win, then I win. If nature wins, everyone wins.
Okay, so, and that's basically like 3D, right? That's what they're calling dimension. So if you help enough people get what they want in life, you will get what you want. We said that quote from Tony Robbins to start the book off. So winners look beyond themselves. That's why we made this the black belt word of the belt. This is also why we do create requirements for you to do community service, for you to do a leadership community project, for you to do a hero project where you help somebody else out in the school, because that's truly showing that positive self-dimension as a leader, okay? And that's the final form as you move in towards black belt, okay? One of the most inspirational leaders and mentors in my life has been Grandmaster June Reed, and listening to him. And he quote says, discipline is the habit of taking consistent action until one can perform with unconscious competence. That means just do it and you don't even have to think about it. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. Okay, so positive self-dimension, winning black belts are in harmony with themselves and their peers. Winners lead others by example and focus on helping others achieve success in their lives, earning love and respect. Okay, and then we talks about this win-win relationship. When you want something, how do you go about getting it? So winners create win-win relationships and how they focus on how they can help others, but they don't really think about getting anything out of it. Okay, I know none of you, as you did your community service projects or leadership projects out there, you didn't expect to get anything out of it. You didn't expect to get a big thank you card or expect to be on the news or have an article written about you, or you didn't expect anything like that. You expected it to do something good for other people. And of course it earns you your black belt, but you were expecting to help other people out of that positive self-dimension, okay? Winners also take time for themselves. That's a big thing. That was part of that homework assignment, is we have to take time for ourselves, okay? We can't give to other people and help other people if we, as individuals, aren't taking care of ourselves, okay? And so they will help them grow and prolong in their lives, and that creates that win-win relationship. So how do we find harmony with yourself and others? We had a homework assignment that week where we said we want you to think about one thing you'd really like to do and devote a whole hour to it, okay? I hope after this black belt test weekend, everybody does that next week. Everybody says, you know, I really love to do this. I'm going to devote a whole hour. I'm going to take care of me, okay? So do a favor for someone in return without any expectation of return. Find somebody in your family member, and do something. Excuse me. Okay, we are on the last one, and then we're done with our book review, and you guys will be going on to your leadership project. So, positive self-projection. Who would like to read this one? Excuse me. Okay, Jackson, go for it.
Go ahead, Jackson. Positive self-projection. Antonyms: aloof, unfriendly, unkempt. Synonyms: personable, supportive, impressive. Loser self-talk. Don't confuse me with facts. My mind's made up. Winner self-talk. Tell me more of your needs. Proverb. How you walk, talk, listen, and look is you.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Good job reading that. Okay. So positive self-projection, winning black belts project their best selves every day in the way they look, talk, listen, and react. Okay. This is the hardest part of the black belt test weekend. And this is what we're ending on a good note, is I want everybody to right now project confidence. I want you to project winning. I want you to project your best self, like you're fresh, ready to go. Okay. That's how you're going to get yourself through the rest of this test. Is right now you need to project your best image for the instructors, for yourself, for your teammates, everything. Winners communicate immediate impressions of happiness. When you walk in this school, I want that to be the number one thing overflowing from you, is that I've got this. This is going to be fun, exciting, and I am going to rock the rest of this black belt test. Okay, I'm going to be successful at all times. You have to project that image. Okay, and that's that final part of this test as we get through this weekend. So winners are aware that first impressions are powerful and create lasting attitudes. They understand that interpersonal relationships can be won or lost in about the first 4 minutes of conversation. So when you first meet somebody, do you project that? I hope so. One of my biggest goals in developing leaders and black belts in life is that they project themselves that way. And when you walk into a room, people look at you and go, you're a black belt. You project that image. Okay, I can see that in people when they walk, the way they talk to me and the way they talk back to other people, and they show self-respect and confidence and all those things. So that's a big part. So respect the fact that we as people usually project on the outside how we really feel about ourselves on the inside. Okay? So I really want you to project that confidence of you've got this. This is going to be awesome. So studies have shown the definite correlation between looking good and success in life. The term good looking, as we are using it, though, it doesn't mean beautiful and handsome like movie stars, because other studies have shown that some of the most beautiful young people physically are less satisfied, less well adjusted, and less happier later in life. Okay, so what we're talking about with good looking is kind of the opposite. In today's cosmetic society, there's a real need for rational values when we consider the true meaning of positive self-esteem. We seem to be taking a good thing, which is the best thing we've got, and going overboard with excessive self-adoration, self-indulgent, in an attempt to buy the fountain of youth and superficial happiness. We know, of course, that this kind of house, car, clothing, possessions we show off to the world outside represent our attempt to tell others who we are. Okay? And that's a very powerful quote, I think, that he puts in there that is a good reminder for all of us as far as projecting ourselves. Winners learn that the art of projecting themselves is through active listening. Once they introduce themselves, they become listeners. They know that listeners learn a great deal while talkers learn nothing. Winners ask questions. They draw the other person out. They ask for examples. They ask others to put in words, and they feed back what others have just said for clarity and understanding. Winners know that paying value to others is the greatest communication skill of all. Okay, and this is just really just a chart of some active listening that we went through a little bit more in detail. So on that note, we went 7 minutes over, but we did accomplish something pretty awesome. We went through the whole book in almost its entirety in an hour and 45 minutes. Okay, so I hope this was helpful for you all. And like I said, if you want to see it in more detail, we spend 45 minutes on each chapter in the book review on the daily Matt Chats. Okay, and those are on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And next week I am going to start fresh with 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, John C. Maxwell. It's one of our reading requirements for Black Belt anyway. So I want you guys to follow along in those. And if you miss them, all the pre-recorded ones are up there. All the ones that we've put out are up there, as well as the PowerPoint presentation, so you can follow along. Okay, so that's going to be going on next week. Looking forward to that. But we have now shift gears. We're going to shift gears. We're going to get ourselves energized again, refocused on conquering this weekend. Remember, as you are testing Black Belt candidates this weekend, we are testing you on all these things. This, to me, is more important than you're knowing how the third gold belt combination is. That's important. But for me, the most important thing is that you show that positive self-projection when you come into school, that you have that confidence in yourselves and a good attitude, okay? That's what's going to get you through this test. That's what builds that mental toughness. And those are the things that we're really trying to accomplish this weekend, okay? So keep up the great work. I'm really proud of you all in your focus and concentration so far. On that note, we are going to switch gears, and I'm going to end this meeting, and you guys can get ready for your next thing. Who can tell me what's on the schedule next for you?
We've got the leadership presentations next.
Awesome. And that's in this.
And that's in the same thing. So we'll just leave it open and we'll begin that at the right time.
Okay. So that's going to be starting here shortly. You got a small break, and that begins right at 4, right? Yep. Okay.
Yes,
so,
sir.
You have 6 minutes to take a break. 6 minutes from now, turn your video back on and we'll get started.